Welcome. How you doing? Today we're going to look at the 2021 Kia Sorento Hybrid. So pardon this format. It's a little cold outside. It's in the 30 degrees in the DC metro area. So I'm going to do a lot of the talking from inside the car and showing you a couple shots here and there, right? So let's go over a couple things that are awesome about this car, and some areas maybe Kia can improve later on. They're really nitpicks, but hopefully they'll help you in your car search or your comparison with other vehicles, right? So the first thing you need to know, it's in the name. It's a hybrid. So with the hybrid, you're gonna get 37 miles per gallon combined. That is pretty amazing. It's 39 city, 35 highway to be exact. Any way you cut it, that's gonna be amazing MPG. Um, it puts out 227 combined horsepower with the electric and gasoline engine. And so you're going to have that mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. The shifting is very, very smooth. You really can't feel the power transition between the two motors, if you will, or even um, the, the transmission changing gears. It's very, very smooth. The second thing you need to know about this car is technology. It's been the Kia and Hyundai's kind of calling card as of the last couple of years, including more features uh, for the dollar that you spend on this vehicle. And the number one feature for me, particularly for these cars and this car here, is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's like a no-brainer. So um, I'll still personally pay for the larger screen. So usually when you buy a navigation, you'll have a larger screen. So I will still pay for the navigation to get the larger screen so that I can then use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Um, yeah, that's still a no-brainer to me, right? I wouldn't want to use it. And you can use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on a smaller screen. I haven't had that experience yet, but personally, as a techie, I'd prefer that myself. So here's some thoughts on the Android Auto integration with Kia, right? So on the left side of your steering wheel, there will be a voice activation button that works perfectly fine with Google, the OK Google action, whether you ask for weather or playing a certain song within your library or navigation, it'll work fine. Right next to that button actually is a volume up, down, and a track button. The funny thing is, if you push up, the volume goes up as expected with the plus icon displayed there. But the track button, you actually push down to go forward to the next track, as opposed to expecting pushing up or to go forward in the next track. That's not how it is. So again, volume up is up, down is volume down, but for the track button, down is next track, up is rewind or restart the track. Interesting, right? Next, thoughts on the stereo system itself. So it's not an upgraded system, it's a standard speaker system. You can do some EQ on the bass treble a little bit, but out of the box, kind of impressive for what it is. Cars have come a long way, and this standard stereo system is not going to rock your socks, but there is a good amount of punch within the system and some clarity at the high end. But for you audiophiles out there, you're going to want to wait for an upgraded stereo system offering from Kia, or just do the upgrades yourself. But as it stands, out of the box, pretty decent. And the third pro thing that you should be aware of for this Kia car is value. This is something not new, but I wanted to just touch on it again. Is that the the price you pay for this car, the miles per gallon, the features, the fit and finish, the design, for the money, as tested, this is $38,205, including destination. It's going to be really tough for you to find another car in this segment at that price with these features and this look. Right now, there are things that you will have to yield to at this price point, but there's also a lot of pros for going for this car. Let's go to the flip side, the negative. So one of the first things that I noticed about this particular build and how Kia decided to spec it was there's no all-wheel drive. Being a dad, looking at an SUV, one of my number one requirements was to have all-wheel drive. Now, if you don't have all-wheel drive on a hybrid powertrain on, like, say, a Prius, for example, that makes perfect sense. But on an SUV, you're gonna want all-wheel drive because it's you're not necessarily gonna go all-terrain. But for people who live in the Northeast, like myself, having all-wheel drive will mean that you have increased traction in the snow, sleet, ice, or even rain. So even if you live in the South, having all-wheel drive will increase your traction ability, or ability to get traction in the wet. With the hybrid powertrain and the somewhat very torquey turbocharged engine, you're going to have a lot of torque from the get-go. So you can actually break traction in this front-wheel drive car if you floor it, especially as you're coming out to merge to from an intersection. So just be aware of that. The car has a ton of pep. I have no issues. I have full confidence in merging with this car on the highway, passing other cars. So no issues there. Second thing is, it's kind of a nitpick, but I personally prefer shifters as opposed to a rotary knob for changing gears. That's just a preference thing. This car being a hybrid, you want to be a little bit more futuristic, if you will. So I totally understand the design direction. Along with that kind of futuristic design thing, they could have gone with a digital dash. That's kind of like my 2A, 2B, right? So 2B is the digital dash could have been improved. I prefer that option here, which then feeds to the third actual item that I wish was available on this car, was that higher trims. So this comes in the EX trim. I believe there's an S and EX. So those are basically the middle two tiers. I would have liked to have the top tier option of having, let's say, ventilated seats, digital dash, 360 camera, what have you. Those are not musts, but if I personally buy a car, I would rather buy a car with more features so that I can somewhat future-proof myself. But also, if you really think about the demographic who buys these SUVs, these family-oriented SUVs are parents like myself. So even though you have the best intentions of concentrating on the road, driving, enjoying, getting to your destination, unless you're by yourself, you're most likely going to be distracted by your little one or your wife or your husband or whoever else is in the car, your in-laws. So by having higher tiers and having other technologies support you in driving safely, that just catches you in that 1% of the 1% situation where you might be just looking back for half a second, right? I don't really condone that, but that's just the reality we live in. With that said, there are a lot of safety features. So this is, I guess, the bonus item of the Pro, is that there's a lot of safety features in this car. Lane keep assist, lane follow assist. It works beautifully. So I wanted to give you some driver impressions. First, the thing I want to show you is, look, Ma, no hands. So in this car, there's lane keep assist, lane follow assist, all that cool stuff. So basically, I can set this car to cruise control, set the distance in which I want to follow the car in front of me, and it will get no closer than that. So there's different levels, 1, 2, and 3, or even 4, that I can set. So I can basically, on a relatively straight road, and now we're curving just a little bit, the car will actually keep it within the lane. It'll occasionally ask me to put my hands back on the wheel, but then I can take it right back off, and we'll be good. Now these technologies are not supposed to be driving for you like an autopilot type system like, say, Tesla, but it's supposed to be there to catch you, which is amazing. This type of feature being on this car, this price point, is mind-blowing. It's great that it's been able to creep down to this level for this vehicle segment. Other impressions of driving. The car itself is very smooth. There's very minimal wind noise. The acceleration off the line is great, actually, for this heavy vehicle, for an SUV at least. Um, and you should have full confidence in merging, shifting lanes, going around, and merging from highway, exit ramps onto the highway, right? There's very little body lean. So overall, good job, Kia. I really hope that a lot of customers out there really consider the Kia brand or Kia Hyundai brand. They've really made a lot of improvements over the years. Um, they're kind of doing what the Japanese did to the Americans back in the day, being that value brand and then coming up, right? So now it's an interesting market. It's great to be a consumer, right? It's really great to be a consumer with having all these options in the competition between the Korean brands, the Japanese brands, the German brands, and the other American brands as well, all across the board. There's tons of things you can pick from, and this is one of the ones that you should probably keep on your short list for a 3-row SUV that only can sit 6 at this time. This particular trim, or rather the hybrid, can only come right now with the 2 captain's chairs for this year. Maybe they'll come with the bench seat later on, but who knows? This is pretty comfortable as it is, sitting in the back. There's plenty of space. I forgot to mention the auto start for the key. This is actually the key for the car itself. So I'm actually sitting inside because it's cold as heck outside. So we'll pretend to the car's already locked. You lock it one more time to confirm, and then you hold the start button on the back, and the car will actually start. Right? Now I'll pretend to get in the car by opening it and closing the door, and then you can just put into drive and off you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick look at the 2021 Kia Hybrid EX trim in front-wheel drive. I appreciate again your tolerance in this format. It's freezing outside, so I try to intermingle the shots within the speaker. We really appreciate your like and subscribe so we can continue doing videos like this, and getting you information that you need so you can purchase your car or vehicle in the future. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you have any other suggestions, I'm really open to adding or deleting portions of this short review. Take care, be safe out there, and always remember, decide wisely. See ya.